Hmm. Mhm.
Deb, just testing. Can you hear us? Deborah, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Thank you.
Sorry, I was closing my door. I don't know why my face isn't there, but anyway, I'll have to look.
Okay, it is 4:30. Oh, an echo. 4:30 on Thursday, May 25th, 2023, and I call this meeting of the Meridian Historic Preservation Commission to order. Roll call: Blaine Johnston here, Pam Jagosh, Pat Keller, Patrick Giddings, Jody Ault, Destiny Hart, Deborah Pitts.
Here.
Thank you. Adoption of the agenda.
Mr. President,
Commissioner Ault.
I move that we adopt the agenda.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Ault, second by Commissioner Giddings for adoption of the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Approval of minutes from April 27th.
Mr. President,
Mr. Giddings.
I move that we approve the minutes from 4/27/23 meeting.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Giddings, seconded by Commissioner Alt for approval of the minutes. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Approval of monthly financial statements.
We don't currently have any new items, but I do want to note that we'll have two. I did just receive an invoice from TAG for the first half of the reconnaissance survey. The final invoice will come at the end of the survey. And I know that Brandon Hull has started his project. He's not quite done, so we'll get the invoice for that. So next month we'll have two larger invoices on the budget, but nothing this month quite yet.
With that, a motion to approve monthly financial statement.
Mr. President,
Commissioner Alt,
I move that we approve the monthly financial statement.
Mr. President,
Giddings.
second.
Motion by Commissioner Alt, seconded by Commissioner Giddings for approval of our monthly financial statement. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
Mr. President and Commissioners, just for the record, I just wanted to note that Commissioner Jagash just joined us.
Noted that on my notes. Thank you. Old business, recommendation, how to best represent Mayor Simonson in published works as the 9th mayor or 26th mayor. By code, the city has had 9 mayors and 26 chairmen and mayors. We had this discussion at our agenda meeting with the mayor. I don't think he really cares what we do. Mr. Neri, can you just give us one more time, a little bit of background?
So, Mr. President, and for those who weren't present previously, so when we did some past research, out in the front of the building, there is a large marble slab that used to be at the Harold Cox Memorial that used to be by the old City Hall, so across the street. So when that memorial was removed for those apartments to get built, they came over here to City Hall. And so out front of our building here, there's a big black marble slab that has mayors listed at the top, and all the mayors that were identified from the 1903 incorporation of the city to present day. And then there's also a separate one that has all the city clerks from the 1903 to the present day. So the question was asked, is there's 26 names on that tablet. And so the question was asked, is Mayor Simonson the 26th mayor or the 9th mayor? So in our separate research that was done by the mayor's office, they found old records that said the CEO of the city in the early 1900s up until about World War II were referred to in the minutes that they were able to locate as the chairman. So not the mayor necessarily. So without doing a hugely deep dive, I reached out to Lila Hill, who's our city historian, to see if she knew anything else about it. And she was not sure. She thought it may have just been the term maybe that preceded the incorporation of the city. But it did, when I looked at the list that was provided to me, it ran until about the Second World War or so. And actually, that's Mayor Polstowait over here on this wall behind me. And that mayor was in the middle of World War II. And the one prior mayor whose name I can't recall at the moment was listed as a mayor. And so just prior to that particular mayor there, they were all referred as chairman. So I think for the purpose of accuracy, I think the mayor was just wanting to ask this commission, do we think we need to refer to them jointly, or do we need to simply refer to them as mayors? You know, from my personal opinion, it may be slightly confusing to people to kind of use two terms. I think what may have happened, and again, we could do more research if you'd like, the forms of government in the state for cities are driven completely by the state. The powers of the cities, what cities can do and can't do, are totally driven by statutes. Terminology of positions has changed greatly over the years. In prior times, the police chiefs were called marshals and constables, depending on the size of the communities. So the mayor being called the chairman versus a mayor may simply have been a term of art that was existing in the early 1900s that evolved itself into the word we now know as mayor. Now, certainly other places in other cities have used the term mayor longer. I worked at the city of Boise for a number of years, and they used to have a wall of the pictures of all the mayors of the city of Boise going back to the 1800s, and they just listed them as mayors. So I don't know if chairman was a term that was particular to Meridian, particular to other cities, particularly cities based on size, time. I don't know. What Ms. Hill wasn't certain either, if it simply was a colloquial term that existed at that time, and mayor just became the evolution of that term.
I think, personal opinion, just for clarity and ease for public, I think it's easy to just refer to him as the 26th mayor. Technically, he's not, but I think for ease of the public, that's the best way to describe him.
I do believe, Mr. President, it may be very much more confusing to people to try to distinguish them when there's no context around that distinguishment anymore that would make sense.
Right.
Folks, so I don't disagree with you.
They were all head of the city by vote or whatever, so they were all head of the city. So I think the easiest way to proceed is just anything that we publish or whatever, he's just the 26th mayor of the city of Meridian. So.
I agree.
Okay, any further discussion? Mr. Nair, do we need to vote on that, or is this just a recommendation?
Voice vote probably, I think, would be helpful to the mayor's office.
Okay, so with that, do we have a motion that we will represent Mr. Simonson, or Mayor Simonson, in any of our published works as the 26th mayor? So if I can get a motion on that.
Mr. President,
Commissioner Alt,
I move that we refer to Mayor Simonson in published works as the 26th mayor of Meridian.
Second.
motion by Commissioner Alt, seconded by Commissioner Jay Gosh, that we will represent Mr. or Mayor Simonson in any of our published works as the 26th mayor of the city of Meridian. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none. Thank you, everybody. We'll go on to project updates. Eggers Farmstead Black Cat Development. I apologize, Cassandra, I did not get a chance to email this to you. I did meet with the developers the other day and talk to them about that development. They are really interested in preserving the double silo granary in its existing location with some modifications to it. They want to retain the silos, but modify the building itself, shorten it up a little bit so it doesn't stick out so far, because they're going to have some green space out in front of it. I told them that historically, the silos are probably more important than the granary itself, because it's the last double silo there is in Ada County. They are going to have some plans drawn up for what they would like to present or preserve. They need to take it to Ada County Highway District, because one silo on the north side is not in the right of way, but it does impact the county's vision triangle where the two streets are going to intersect. They're going to try and get a variance from ACHD to allow it. I told them that there is historical value in that building being maintained as is on site. So hopefully with that, they can get some leeway from ACHD going forward. But they will represent and have those drawings, and they are going to send that to this commission, at least for us to look at and say, yes, we like it. I told them that we don't have any authority to say yes or no, to approve or disapprove their designs. But I think they're at least willing to look at maintaining that on site. The barn is another issue. It's too expensive to try and move or salvage for them. Like I said last month, and I told this to the mayor at our agenda meeting, when it comes down to developments, it's a matter of money. If it doesn't cash flow for them, they're not going to do something. So that's my update on Eggers Farmstead. Any questions for me? Okay, no questions. Speedway nomination. Ms. Schiffer, do you have an update for us, please?
I did reach out to SHPO to see where they're at. They said that they're making steady progress on the revisions and that TAG had sent them some revised maps and geographic information. And staff is finalizing the nomination, although they don't have a date that they're going to resubmit, but it sounds like it's being moved forward. So that's the update on the Speedway nomination.
Okay. Thank you. Last of all, TAG reconnaissance survey.
Also going well and moving along. And for those of you, the commissioners that were at the walking tour last week, she kind of went over some of the things that they're doing in that survey. And let me know if you have any questions or her, but it's moving along.
Any questions regarding the reconnaissance survey? Hearing none, we will go on to reports. Our presentation, Meridian Historic Tolith House, renovations and hidden gem events. You got the floor.
Hi,
How are you?
good. I'm Elizabeth Burgess. I'm not a very good speaker, so I'm really sorry. But there you go. I own the Tolith home in downtown Meridian on State Avenue and 2nd Street. I've been renovating it. Here's a little history. You say just, oh, down, okay. Sorry.
I hate technology.
On it. Oh, here, I'll just scroll down. Yeah. So the Tolith home is described as a Queen Anne style home. It was originally owned from Harry and Della Tolith. They were residents of the home. They built it in 1907. He was a mercantile owner. I believe it was on Broadway and 2nd was his store. Sorry, this is covering my little thing. There we go. He lived there until his death, and then Mrs. Tolith actually had teachers live in the home so she could keep the house. So they rented from her. And then there's pictures of both of them. Oops. And then there's some more photos of their children. And I don't know who the gentleman is with the briefcase, but that's where Richard's property is, where they took the photo. And then they believe the home was a Sears Roebuck home. I am not quite sure because I haven't found the house plans for it. I've tried to look through the magazines. And they also mentioned that the lumber came from Nebraska, from their previous home where Harry was born. It was the first home in Meridian to have electricity, or one of the first homes, and central heating. It now has like a upgraded HVAC system, but originally it was coal. And then I believe in the 70s, they turned it into a oil heating system. Let's see. And then in the 70s, the Orton family purchased it. They owned it until 1993. So Rick did a lot of upgrades. He kept a lot of the original wood and doors, and he stripped all the paint off of all the trim as well as wallpaper. And there was about 5 to 7 layers of wallpaper. Let's see, his daughter kind of laughs and said that it was like a flip and flop type of remodel because he wasn't very handy. Even though he was a civil engineer, he wasn't like a carpenter. So, and here's some photos of that she sent me. She grew up in the home and she currently lives in Meridian. He ended up passing away last year. But you can see where they took the stair railing and he stripped all the paint off of there as well as all the trim and tiled the floor. And then in 1970, or oops, I totally have the wrong date on there. 1993 to 2019, the Algers purchased the home and turned it into an antique store. They did a lot of city activities in the yard, anywhere from tea parties to art and sips. And they were very active downtown Meridian. And then there's some photos of their antique store. And then I acquired it with my parents. Sorry. In 2019. I'm sorry. My dad and I were working on it together and he ended up passing away from ALS. Sorry, I knew this was gonna be kind of hard for me, so. He was a civil engineer and I'm sorry. He was a civil engineer. He actually worked with Rick, ironically. And he helped me. Good thing there's not a lot of people here. He helped me acquire like a new power line and work on the sewer system. Did a lot. So. All right, guys. We had to add in a new ADA ramp, which was kind of ironic because he ended up getting ALS and had to have a wheelchair. So it works. And this is the power line. The reason for the new power line was because the power box was actually on the power line in the alley and they had to remove that and put it on the house. So we got a new upgraded power line. We had to make an ADA compliant restroom downstairs. Originally, the home actually didn't have restrooms. In the 30s, I believe, they added 2 restrooms, one upstairs and one on the main floor in the pantry. And it was all cast iron. So we had to remove all that because it was decaying. We had to add reinforcements for the ADA compliant bars. And then in the kitchen, the floor was actually subfloor. So we had to put in new subfloor and put in a base layer and then the tile. So we did all that and my little dog helped us. But as you can see, like he had to, there's a full basement, but we had put a new subfloor in to make it stronger and fix the joists so they wouldn't buckle on us. He also did the porch. In the 70s, they poured a giant concrete porch and we wanted it to go back to its aesthetic of having a wooden porch. So, oops. And then in the attic, we ran a bunch of cables for like a speaker system and security cameras and for the venue side of things. So it's still old, but has that modern technology in it. In the dining room, I had to remove layers of wallpaper as well as fixing the cracks from the lath and plaster. I taped them up and retextured and painted, put crown molding in, and then redid all the woodworking. And then upstairs, we fixed the restroom as well. That one was a little bit more complicated because they added on that restroom. So the floor was kind of a unique floor. So we had to kind of piecemeal it because the walls were on top of the floor, which is not typical. So we had to make sure it wouldn't ruin that wall. So, and then the parlor room, kind of the same thing as the dining room and living room, just texture, paint, and crown molding. And eventually I'm gonna put wallpaper in, but, and then the living room, again, the same. And on the right side of the screen, that's what originally it looked like when I received the house, and then kind of a little circle into what it looks like now with the banner. And then we also got a new sewer line for the home. Originally it was going into the alley and the city had this planned. So it was a 2 year long process of them ripping up the street and putting in a new sewer line. And during the sewer project, they ended up finding the original outhouse. And so the guys unburied the bottles for me. So I have those and I'm gonna display them in the house, in the bathroom, and have them a part of the house. So, and Gwen Alger, I don't know if you guys know her, but she was really excited because they had been looking for it for years. And we thought it was like an old fireplace, but she knew exactly what it was because it was so deep. And they said that that's where they would put their trash. It's in the outhouse. So, and here's the HVAC system within the basement. There is a coal chute, but they stopped using that in the, I think, late 50s or so, or maybe 70s. But so have a new HVAC system. And then we had a company re-sand the floors and preserve the original floors. And then we received a new roof last year, or no, in 2021, we did a new roof. And then in the same year, we put in the gate so there's better access for guests to go into. And then I've been currently working on the upstairs. I still have about 3 more rooms to finish up. And then it will be like a bridal suite, hair and makeup room. And then this is the final product of it being repainted. And I just realized I totally forgot that slide of the process of them removing, it had lead paint on it. So they had to scrape it off and prime it, and they had to, there was some rotted wood panels that we had to find the exact same size and get that preserved. So, and now I can do events. So, and I do anything from gingerbread parties to tea parties to Mother's Day, weddings, whatever the community wants to use it for. So, and that's it. Is there any questions or?
First of all, I'd like to thank you for opening up your home and stuff for the tour last week. The little bit that I saw from the inside, as an architect, you're doing a beautiful job restoring that house. It is just gorgeous. So
Thank
thank
you.
you so much for that. Not only for saving the building, but keeping the history of Meridian alive there. So
Yeah.
thank you for that.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Hopefully I'll be able to do those more often or whatever you guys want to use it for. So
So when do you think you're going to be finished totally?
I'm hoping by July 1st,
Okay.
having the whole upstairs finished. And then the yard is just going to be kind of a work in progress.
Right.
So,
Are you going to open up for a tour when it's all done?
yes, I'm hoping to actually do like a ribbon cutting and grand opening
Okay,
when it's all completed.
okay.
So,
Get a hold of Ms. Schiffler, let us know and see if at least part of the commission can't be there for that ribbon cutting.
Yeah.
I think it'd be important for us to be there.
yeah.
So,
I'm thinking of doing it in October. I know it's kind of like a few months away, but at least it will give me time to get it ready. So,
I'll have to work around my elk hunting schedule, but
oh,
probably.
okay. Yeah. So,
Any other questions?
I just wanted to say, I love that house. I pass by it every day.
oh, yeah.
And what an amazing legacy your dad.
Mr. President and Commissioners, I did want to share that I think I sent everyone the Orchids and Onions nomination that's through Preservation Idaho. I did also send that directly to Elizabeth because I thought that her project would potentially be a very good nomination. This is actually an action item on our agenda, even though we didn't talk about it. But if the commission thinks that this is a good project, I could draft a letter because that's part of the nomination is they need to have a letter from preservation professionals and be happy to get some editing on that. Would the commission like to provide a letter of support for that nomination if that, yeah. Any thoughts on that?
Before we proceed, Mr. Neri, do we need to amend the agenda to go forward?
Mr. Mayor, or Mr. President, members of the commission, no, I mean, it is listed as an action item. So even though it is a presentation, if it's just direction to begin crafting a letter, I think that's perfectly fine to do that as a discussion and then a voice vote.
Okay. When is the letter due?
It's June 1st. So it's like coming up.
Yeah, I think it's soon. June 1st is what Elizabeth thought. So.
My vote is yes, let's proceed. Let's go ahead and just have a quick motion to proceed with the nomination of the Tolith House for an Orchid Award through Preservation Idaho. Motion? Just say motion.
Motion to go ahead and proceed with the letter.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Jagosh, seconded by Commissioner Alt to go ahead and draft a letter to Preservation Idaho for the nomination of the Tolith House for an Orchid Award. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Elizabeth. Item 6, recap Preservation Month activities, sidewalk signage, video meetings, Meridian Meander presentation, historic walking. I'd like to thank Commissioner Giddings for helping me put the signs out last week, made it go a little bit easier. Commissioner Pitts, you didn't have anybody in the morning in the conference room, did you?
No, I did not.
And I didn't have anybody in the afternoon attend either, so It was a good effort. I liked the presentation that the library district did for us. I need to draft a letter to them, thanking them for their work. They did a great job on that presentation for us. Ms. Schiffler, do you have a head count on how many people attended?
Mr. President, the walking tour,
Yes.
23.
23. That was a better turnout than we've had in a long, long time. So I thought that the walking tour was great. I think Barbara did a great job on that also. Does the commission have any comments on what we did? Anything that we should change for looking forward for next year that we can make some notes of and address it when this comes around in a year?
Mr. President? Since this was my first year, this was the first time I had seen that or gone on that tour, and I thought it was really well done. I think the structure of how it was done was pretty well thought out. I really liked it. So I think maybe the focus next year would just be on trying to get the word out to more people and, trying to get more folks to attend and be informed about it.
I agree with you. I think I heard a lot, or not a lot. I heard a couple of people say they just saw the notification on Facebook and came down off that notification. So, yeah, I thought it was well attended. So thank you, everybody, on that. Ms. Schiffler, do you have any comments on what we did?
Mr. President, yeah, I thought the walking tour went extremely well, and lots of people were asking when the next one was.
I saw those
Which,
comments.
we have the self-guided tour available year round. One other thing that we did, what would I call it? The presentation thing in the lobby, the screen. I had the clerk's office put every other slide was one of those slides from the library, which was nice. I think some people, as they're riding the elevators, most people probably got a glimpse of one of the historic pieces. So that was kind of an easy thing to implement. I think you could probably do that again pretty easily. Yeah, I thought the walking tour was great. Oh, and the mayor did a proclamation right before the walking tour, which was nice, and donated the print to the library publicly, which was also,
Yep.
Not that we'd be able to do that every year, but that was a nice touch too.
It was nice. So, yeah, I think overall we did a good job. Thanks again for everybody's help on that. So, any other comments before we proceed? Okay, we'll go on to future meeting topics. Our 2014 Historic Preservation Plan and needs to be redone within the next couple of years. Ms. Schiffler, I saw the email that you sent out from, I don't know who it was, but it had a proposal, it had copies of someone else's preservation plan plus pricing.
Yes, Mr. President, I reached out to Maria, and I'm not remembering her last name right now, but Maria at SHPO, and she is our CLG, our Certified Local Government Liaison to SHPO. And so I asked her for some requests for proposals, some examples from other cities to request proposals like bid estimates for plans, and also a few other plans from other cities to get some more information on what that looks like. And she is happy to come to the next meeting. So she'll come in June, so you can, the commission can ask some questions about what the State Historic Preservation Office is looking at when they're looking at plans. And if we're going to apply for funding, then we want to comply with whatever they require. One of the things, for example, is they do require that it's completed by a qualified professional. So that it is something that the commission pays out for. It's not something the commission can do, and sounds like a graduate intern wouldn't be able to do that because it wouldn't be a qualified professional as SHPO thinks it is. So if there's other questions, think about your questions. And I did send out the 2014 plan to all commissioners and the NAMPA plan that was recently completed. I can send the other plans out if if the commissioners are interested in looking at that, and then you can think about any questions and have those ready for her at the June meeting.
Yeah, let's go ahead and proceed. Would ask the commission members to go ahead and read our 2014 preservation plan. There's a lot of good information in there. A lot of it pertains to the irrigation history of Meridian, which we wouldn't be here without the irrigation system. But all that pertains, I don't know if that's going to change much. So yeah, read the plan, jot down questions. So next month we can talk to Maria from SHPO, ask questions for her, and we can get some guidance so we can proceed. It's going to be an expensive undertaking for us to do. So we are going to need some grant money to be able to accomplish this. I don't know that we can physically do it in 1 year. I don't know if it's going to be a 2-year effort and have it done by 2025, or if we can get it done by 2024. So I guess a lot's going to depend on when we can get bids out or back and talk to people, and when they can get started on it, and ask them how long it's going to take. So that's all I got. Any questions? Okay, with that, our next meeting is June 22nd, 2023. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Mr. President,
Commissioner Alt,
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
motion by Commissioner Alt, second by Commissioner Hart. All those in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, we are done. Thanks, everybody.
Speedway. I did it this afternoon. It was fun.
No, Barbara said it's gonna be noisy this evening. Which is